we are traveling to north of Africa, to Egypt, to shine our spotlight on the Pharaohs. Who were the Pharaohs? Most of what we know of them we get from archaeology. What is that and how does that work? Before I go further, welcome back to Junior Time Travelers TV, Stories from the Past. One of the earliest civilizations known to humankind was Egypt, the land of the Pharaohs. Who were the Pharaohs? The Pharaohs were powerful rulers of Egypt in ancient times, mostly kings. Egyptian history is typically divided into several major time periods, with each period characterized by distinct political, cultural, and societal developments. In a future video, we will take a look at the different time periods because these periods provide the framework for understanding the different developmental stages of ancient Egyptian history, from its earliest beginning to its interaction with foreign powers and eventual merger into a large empire. In this video, we will focus on the period between 1550 to 1070 BCE. That era is typically known as the New Kingdom. The New Kingdom is considered Egypt's golden age, and it is marked by powerful pharaohs like Hatshepsut, Thutmose III, Akhenaten, Tutankhamun, and Ramesses II. It was a time of military conquest, monumental building projects, and the peak of Egyptian influence and wealth. Many of the things we know about them, we say we get from archaeological discoveries. So, who are archaeologists? Let's spend some time here as they are our guide to exploring the lives of the pharaohs. Archaeologists are super cool scientists that study the stuff people built and tools that they used in ancient times. Archaeologists are like real-life treasure hunters. They are curious people. They love to explore, and they discover old things buried in the ground. To help them do their job, they use special tools like shovels and brushes to carefully dig up items from the ground like pots, bones, and even old buildings. These objects are like clues that help these scientists learn about people who lived a long, long time ago. They can now tell us what they ate, how they lived, and even what games they played by examining these objects. Sometimes archaeologists even find really cool stuff like the bones of dinosaurs or ancient treasures from kings and queens like we're going to see today. We can call them detectives of the past because they help us understand how the world was a very long time ago. A popular way they figure these things out is through a special process called carbon dating. What is that? Now imagine you have a special clock inside you that starts ticking the moment you are born. This clock is made up of tiny pieces called atoms, and one of these pieces is called carbon-14. Every time the clock ticks, one of these carbon-14 pieces disappears. When a person or an animal or even a plant dies, the clock stops ticking because it no longer has any more carbon-14. Scientists can now look at how many carbon-14 pieces are left in something very old, like a bone or a piece of wood, to figure out how long its biological clock stopped working. They use this to learn about really old things like dinosaurs or ancient people or places. So carbon dating is like using a special clock to find out how old something is. However, sometimes the clock may not work properly and it will give us inaccurate readings. The item may be very old or may have been affected by other factors from the environment. When this happens, it can be really difficult for scientists to know exactly how old an item is. Now you know how we get many of the stories from the past. It is by looking at the objects from the past to give us clues about the past. So, what does archaeology tell us about the pharaohs? Here are some fascinating things archaeologists have discovered about them. Archaeologists have found grand pyramids and elaborate tombs where pharaohs were buried. These structures show how important and how powerful the pharaohs were in ancient Egyptian society. Inside these tombs are found treasures like golden jewelry, precious artifacts, and even boats sometimes buried with the pharaohs. Why were the pharaohs buried with treasures? It is because of their belief in the afterlife. These treasures also reflect their wealth and their status. Archaeologists study hieroglyphs, which are ancient Egyptian writings, to learn about the pharaohs' accomplishments, victories in battles, their relationship with their gods. Paintings and carvings depict the pharaohs' lives and their beliefs. Pharaohs are often mummified, and archaeologists have discovered mummies of pharaohs and their families. By studying these mummies, scientists learn about their health, their age and death, and sometimes even the cause of their death. Archaeological finds such as temples and statues gives us insight into their religious beliefs and how the pharaohs were seen as gods themselves by ancient Egyptians. By piecing together artifacts and inscriptions, archaeologists reconstruct the timelines of different pharaoh reigns and their impact on ancient Egyptian society and history. So archaeology helps us unravel the mysteries of the pharaohs, their accomplishment, their significance in shaping Egyptian civilization. Did you know that the study of anything Egypt has a name? Egyptology. It is the study of the history, the language, the culture, the religion, the literature, the architecture of ancient Egypt. Now, let's shine our spotlight on one of the most famous discoveries of ancient Egypt, the tomb of King Tutankhamun. Who was this? King Tutankhamun, often referred to as King Tut, was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh who ruled during the 18th dynasty. He became famous because his tomb was discovered almost completely intact in the Valley of the Kings in ancient Egypt by archaeologist Howard Carter in 1922. Here is what archaeology tells us about King Tut. They say that his tomb was filled with treasures, including golden jewelry, furniture, chariots, and statues, an example of the Egyptian belief in the afterlife. The discovery of his tomb was one of the most significant archaeological finds of the 20th century. Inside his tomb, archaeologists found King Tut's mummy. Through careful study of his remains, they learned about his health, his physical appearance, his age and death. He was around 18 years old when he died. He died so young. Through further investigations, it was revealed he was about 9 years old when he became king. Archaeological findings, including inscriptions and artifacts, helps us piece together King Tut's family relations. He was the son of Akhenaten and Queen Kia, and he married his half-sister. King Tutankhamun's short reign as pharaoh was overshadowed by his predecessors, including Akhenaten, who introduced radical religious changes. However, his tomb's discovery shed light on a relatively lesser known period of Egyptian history. Did you know the discovery of King Tut's tomb sparked a myth about a curse associated with disturbing the tomb? While this is not supported by scientific evidence, it captured the public's imagination and added to the allure of King Tut's story. Despite his brief reign and relatively minor historical impact, King Tutankhamun became one of the most famous Egyptian pharaohs due to the discovery of his tomb and the remarkable way it was preserved. So, we have so much to thank archaeologists as they help us to learn about the past. Archaeology tells us about King Tut's life, his death, his treasures, his family relations, and his legacy, providing valuable insights into ancient Egyptian history and culture. Before you leave, why were the pharaohs buried with treasures? Because of A, the afterlife, B, astronomy, C, religion. How did you answer? A, the afterlife. Remember to like, subscribe, and there's joy in sharing. Keep exploring, keep learning. And who knows what ancient treasures you might uncover next time. Until next time, happy exploring, time travelers.